Hi everyone, my name's Kristen. I also go by Ms.Filmingo, and thanks for clicking on this video. I'm happy to share my exclusive interview with filmmaker Steven Feinartz. Steven is the director behind the documentary Are We Good?, which is a documentary about comedian and podcaster Marc Maron. The film will be in theaters in New York and LA on October 3rd, with nationwide events on October 5th and 8th. The film had its premiere at the 2025 South by Southwest Film Festival and was shown at the Tribeca Film Festival. And this was a wonderful documentary. There's also exclusive interviews with comedians John Mulaney and Brendan McDonald, and includes footage from his podcast, WTF. So before we jump into the interview with Steven, I want to give you all a brief synopsis of the film. Are We Good is an intimate portrait of comedian and podcaster pioneer Marc Maron, following the sudden loss of his partner and filmmaker Lynn Shelton. Maron struggles with grief, disillusionment, and a shifting comedy landscape. Now that you know a little bit more about Are We Good, let's cut over to my interview with Steven to learn more about making this documentary. Good. So I just want to start off and say thank you so much for making this documentary. It was so good. And I've seen so many, documentaries about comedians, but this one was so different where you got Mark to be so vulnerable. It's a very intimate piece. He's navigating life, but you also show him being the ultimate cat dad. So,
Yeah. That's the most important thing.
yes,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. So let me just start by asking, how long have you known Mark, and why did you think it was important to make a documentary about him?
So I've known Mark since 2010, over at like the UCB Franklin in LA. We'd run into him over there when I was doing my first documentary. And, we stayed in touch over the years. We're always friendly and, so we had a history. And then in 2020, late 2020, early 21, I was approached by our producer, story editor, Julie Seabaugh, who came with the idea of doing a Mark documentary and at this moment in time. And I thought it was great. I was a little apprehensive about doing it because it's the subject matter of dealing with grief can be
Mm-hmm.
heavy and you got to be very careful with it. But I was up for the challenge, and we started doing it. And he was, he was also apprehensive. It was a lot of like feeling it out at the beginning, and then there was a comfort. So.
I'm sure. How long did you like negotiate him to get him to say yes? Because I'm sure, like you said, it probably took some time. So how long, was that process going on for?
I think she had met with him before she met with me, just kind of telling him that she thought it'd be cool, and then she reached out to me, and then we did a Zoom together, Mark, myself, and Julie, and maybe it was me. I don't remember the timeline exactly. It might have been
Yeah.
a month or two later. I just went to the night that the Comedy Store opened up again in LA,
Oh,
and
okay.
Mark was doing a show on the first night back, and I had my camera in my car, and I was like, I talked to Mark at the show, and I was like, I have my camera here, and went and got it. That was
And,
it. We
and the
started.
rest is history, and it's all told out in a wonderful, wonderful film.
That's it. Yeah.
So, how did you approach earning and maintaining Mark's trust? Because I'm sure there were some days, Mark wasn't feeling 100%, saying maybe this isn't a good day to film. Maybe I'm not ready to open about this subject matter or this, because he's going through a lot in this film.
Yeah.
So, what was it like maintaining that?
Yeah, it was a tight rope walk, especially at the beginning when it was a little bit more raw and of mind. So I think it took a little time. I'd say maybe like after 4 or 5 shoot days with him that he started to kind of open up a little bit more and feel comfortable with me. I think it's just trust, and he knows a lot of people that I know, and I've worked with a
Hmm.
lot of his friends, and I think he knew that I wasn't trying to make a doc that was like gonna put him in a harsh light or anything like that.
No, yeah.
It wasn't like that. But as somebody who's usually in control of their thing with a podcast and his stand up and all that, to give somebody else control is not easy, I would imagine. So,
Yeah. So at the beginning of the doc, we know we see a ton of highlights that honor Mark, and we get to the part where we find out about Lynn, excuse me. How long did filming take from, starting in 2020, and then when did filming wrap and post-production?
3.5 years of filming. So starting in mid 2021, ending probably end of 24.
Oh my gosh, that's a long
Right.
time.
Yes, but we started editing, I want to say in end of 23, early 24. So about 14 months, 15 months of editing this thing.
Wow.
But yeah, 3.5 years. But there's some overlap obviously with documentary.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, 3 years. That's crazy. But you got a lot of good stuff featured in it. So you also have wonderful comedians featured in the film, such as John Mulaney, someone who I grew up watching because I grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Caroline Ray, and so
Yeah.
many other wonderful comedians. How did you get them to say yes and talk all about wonderful things about Mark?
Caroline's so great. Yeah, Mulaney was fantastic. Yeah, we got lucky, people wanted to be in the film about Mark, they were happy to do it. So, so with some people I reached out, with some people Mark, gave me their number or emails and I reached out through them. But it was all done pretty quickly, to be honest with you. We had a cut of the film maybe the second half of 2024 that had no interviews with
Oh,
celebrity
wow.
comedians, and it felt like it needed it. It just felt like it needed a breath every once in a while and a little bit of like pulling back from being on Mark all the time. So yeah, so it really worked out. And the people that we got are fantastic. So happy and
And
very
all the people I'm sure were also featured in his podcast. So I want to ask too, because I'm sure you've listened to it. How do you feel about the news that he's, closing that chapter after 16 years?
I think it's great that he is taking on the next thing in his life, and he wants to. I think he said everything he could say with the podcast. He's done all the interviews and conversations that he feels like that he needs to do, and I think in a way it's exciting. It's scary probably for him, but I think
Hmm.
as a listener of his for many years, it's gonna be sad to see him go and not have those like those moments, those like 15-minute intros that that people love.
Yeah, of course. And then do you have a favorite Mark performance? We're talking about the documentary, but he's also a talented actor, comedian. So do you have a favorite film or TV role or even podcast episode that he's done?
For film and TV roles, I mean, I think To Leslie, his performance in that one,
Yes, Sue
so
Leslie. Oh, that's so
yeah,
good.
he was great. He was really great, man. I thought he was great in
Yeah.
Starry Cross too. Then also, yeah, I'd say for podcast episodes, I mean, I love the Robin Williams episode.
Yes, I love seeing that in the doc. I just was like so excited. I got, oh my goodness, that's the voice of Robin Williams.
And that was the thing with Doc too. He never filmed his podcast, so we had to like figure out a way to like bring it to life. We did cutouts, which I'm really happy with, but it was very odd. That usually in these situations you have archival video and all that kind of stuff, so we had to figure that out. But yeah, a lot of great podcasts. I mean, it's hard to pick.
Yeah, and then also I saw you also did that not for just Robin Williams, but for Conan O'Brien. And then one thing that really stuck out in my mind in one section of the documentary, speaking of the podcast part, you include the episode where him, Mark, I'm referring to, and Patton Oswalt are comparing notes and discussing their grief. I thought that was really interesting to put in. So I'm
Thank you.
listen to the episode. It's something totally different that I not normally listen to, but it was also very sad. So moving on from that.
No, no, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to talk about it. I mean, yeah, let me just say that Patton is the sweetest, and he's one of the best people in this in comedy. One of the most genuine guys, and he, we wanted to interview him, but we couldn't make it work in time. But we were lucky enough to get that clip.
Yeah, I'm happy you were able to at least use that, podcast episode. So I want to get to know you more as a filmmaker a little bit before we have to wrap up. Why did you want to get into filmmaking, and how is this different from the other projects you have worked on?
I mean, it's gonna sound corny, but I always wanted to be a director since I was a
That's
little.
okay.
I'd go to the movies with my grandma, and like
Oh,
I would just like it's just like that's what I wanted to do. Like it was always a dream, but it never felt attainable. I always felt like it was like something. I'm from Chicago. It didn't have any connections or anything like that. So it took time, and I got there. That was it. Yeah. What was the second question?
how is this different from your other projects?
This one, I mean, in a way, it's similar to my first documentary, in that I followed a comedian. But obviously, this one's got a different layer of depth to it. But mostly with comedians, I do a lot of comedy specials, and
Yes.
I do a lot of like scripted comedy stuff too, and commercials and things. So Everything is comedy. This one is, obviously more dramatic, and it has, some real layers to it, which is kind of what I want. I,
Yeah.
I do love comedy, but sometimes, you're not getting the full picture if you're just going for the jokes the whole time.
Yeah, it's something different from you because I've seen some of your work. So getting this was it just a nice little sweet treat just to see
Yeah.
more of your artistic style come to life. So what's it been like working with Utopia, helping you release this film? Because I know you got to premiere at South by Southwest, you were at Tribeca, so wonderful festival run, and now you're getting a theatrical release. What's it been like working with them?
They're great. I mean, I love them. They're like all like go-getter, young, like excited distribution people. They're not like they're not the old guard, which is
Yeah.
fine. But I like that they're sort of like got their imprint on the indie film scene, and they're picking projects that you can't always put into a box that are interesting and outside the norm. So I love what they're doing. Robert Schwartzman and Cole Harper over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. And finally, as we wrap up, what do you hope audiences take away after watching Are We Good?
Just the grief can come in many forms, and if you're dealing with grief or have dealt with it, just I think this is another tool to maybe see somebody like Mark, who's not your typical guy to put it all out there in a way. I think that's it, and also it's okay to laugh and be have a dark sense of humor about
Yeah.
these things because people do. It's not all grief doesn't have to all be one thing. You can say something that's outlandish if you're going.
Yes.
Yeah.
That concludes the interview. I want to thank Stephen for taking the time out of his busy schedule to talk to me, and I hope you all check out Are We Good in theaters in LA and New York on October 3rd, and with nationwide theatrical events on October 5th and 8th. This also wraps up today's interview. Please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow me on social media. The links will be provided down below. I'll see you all next time. Bye!